QMSC is the developer of a product called Pulse. Our software helps companies that operate in regulated industries such as automotive or aerospace, also oil and gas, help our customers better manage their supplier quality. From the point that they issue a purchase order and even before then, to help them better evaluate potential suppliers that they may want to work with and understand what those suppliers' capabilities are, all the way through to the point that those suppliers are delivering goods and services to them. And so we're going to provide our customers with clarity, better collaboration, and speed as they engage with their supply chain to understand which suppliers are best, which one needs remediation, and which suppliers deliver the best value. Common problems for our customers are going to be where they're still potentially paper-based. A lot of our customers are actually operating with ad hoc tools like paper or PDF, very transactional. Think about emails going back and forth between your purchasing team and your supplier quality team, trying to extract all kinds of information about the state of the product, that basically very, very transactional, like I said. And so what that does is it actually silos all of that information as it relates to your supplier, what you're buying from them, your products, the condition of the products, and any kind of soft deliverables. I think about a lot of components and pieces and things that go into these different systems, and a lot of them have some kind of certification or something like that. That's still a quality deliverable that has to be communicated somehow with that product or service. Again, it still exists in a silo, and you can't extract meaningful information from that. That's the problem, and those are some of the challenges that I wanted to overcome personally whenever we launched QMSC, because of frustrations in my career. And so what we're doing again is better speed and collaboration. Our platform is a platform, so you can take every single aspect of your relationship as it relates to supplier quality performance. From the time that you issue that purchase order, your supplier gets to see each line item, all of the deliverables that you may have with that. They can acknowledge that, and over the course of their provision of service, they're going to be able to upload that information, or we capture it in a web form. So think about metadata. We can do something with that, and so what we're able to do over time is to extract their performance based on your requirements to them. And so it doesn't exist on somebody's desktop or an Excel spreadsheet. It's all in one place. We've got a lot of business intelligence applications that we can connect with. We also have dedicated business intelligence in our application. And so that means that we're going to help you understand, again, how each supplier performs. And so that's the advantage, is that we can bring all of that information into one platform, and it doesn't exist like on an ERP or a supplier relationship management platform or in someone's emails. It's all in one place. It's very usable. QMSC is a cloud-based solution. Our business model is SaaS, so it's a subscription model, and the levers that we tend to pull are a number of internal users, and there's different grades of users who can log onto the system. Additionally, a number of supplier connections. So we don't care how many supplier users you have, but the value metric there is the number of suppliers that you're going to connect with. And so those are the things that we tend to look at whenever we think about our business model. Whenever it comes to implementation, what we have found is a crawl, walk, run approach is the best way. That allows us to work out any kind of challenges that we identify throughout the implementation process. During contracting, we begin to understand what kind of data handling requirements there are. One of the great things about QMSC is that we can exist as a standalone application. But since we're cloud-based, we do have APIs. We can connect with your existing business applications like supplier relationship management or ERPs. And again, since we can't act as a standalone solution, you don't have to connect with any of those things. Supplier master data, part lifecycle management, all of those sorts of things can actually exist within QMSC and very, very effectively. Pretty early on, we found that aerospace was a great niche for us to be in. I mean, it's not necessarily a niche, it's a massive industry. And when I say aerospace, I mean both aerospace and defense contracting. I started my career there, so it's something I'm very familiar with. And so one of the reasons that there is such a great alignment with QMSC and operators, businesses, and suppliers that have businesses in aerospace and defense contracting is the nature of how regulated these industries are. The technical requirements around paint, coatings, mechanical things like this, very, very, very challenging in both those industries, and so there's lots of different nuances to that industry, and so because those requirements are so challenging, you tend to see lots of quality issues. I mean, there's one going on with a very big aerospace company right now. With carbon fiber, and it's very public. Everybody knows about it. So you see these things in daily life, but the reason that we're relevant is that we help our customers document those issues and begin to understand what the trends are across their supply chains with their particular products at certain suppliers, because maybe one supplier is better than a different supplier. We can help our customers see that. And then as those trends become apparent, to communicate with that supplier and collaborate with them through some industry standard and best practices of how we're going to eliminate that problem. There's a couple things that need to happen there. One is to understand, why does it happen? And we tend to talk about that as the root cause. And the other one, which is equally challenging in some cases, why does it go undetected? That can be very baffling. So the supplier's got this thing that they deliver to you. 9 times out of 10, it's good, but you really need that 10th one. And so that's a problem that you want to go work on. Well, why does it actually get outside of the supplier's facility? And so as we document those things in QMSC, our customers document them in our system, and then they begin to see this collage of different kinds of issues, they're going to be able to work with their suppliers and collaborate on how to resolve them and prevent them from ever happening. And so I think that's one of the reasons why aerospace is such a great industry for us to be operating in. And we've got several customers there. The other two that we have a very strong presence in would be oil and gas and automotive. Now, interestingly, you tend to see a lot of overlap in automotive and aerospace, both in terms of the way the manufacturing processes work, but also because the suppliers tend to exist in both spaces. That's pretty common in my experience. And so I think that one is pretty obvious. We have currently several big customers in automotive. And a number of large suppliers. I would say, total number of businesses that log on to QMSC in automotive is several hundred a day. It's quite a few. The other one that we have a strong presence in is oil and gas, and that's probably just due to the nature of the fact that we're a Houston-based company. We've got a good synergy there. But the great thing about oil and gas is that it is very, very technical and it's very quality driven. Reliability is a huge issue whenever it comes to oil and gas. And so, being able to deliver quality products to your customers, our customers care about that a lot. They really do. And so one of the reasons that our customers come to us is because that is so important, is for them to have good products and services to deliver to their customers. And so they understand that they're dependent on their suppliers to be able to achieve that. And so again, oil and gas is a place that we have found a very strong solution and good product market fit. The other one that's honestly been kind of surprising to me lately is that we've recently got some customers in consumer goods and also luxury and lifestyle goods. Now that we've worked with these companies, it's begun to make a lot of sense to me. And I guess just because of my lack of personal experience in that, it wasn't an obvious potential market for us. But with these customers that we've recently onboarded and are onboarding currently, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, they want to be very competitive in the marketplace. Again, they're reliant on their suppliers to be able to deliver to their customers. And quality is absolutely imperative. They think about it as a reputational risk if they deliver poor quality. And so that's a nightmare for them whenever they have a customer that comes back to them for some extremely high-priced item. Could be $100,000 for something very, very nice that you might wear. And they bring this thing back and it's broken. Are they ever going to come back again? That's again a reputational risk. And so all of our customers come to us because they take quality seriously, and they understand how critical it is to their customer, ensuring that what they're delivering to their customers is right the first time, every single time. And so whenever they're highly reliant on their suppliers to do that, it means that they need the right tools and solutions to be able to achieve that. Vast majority of the time, for them to understand that there's a problem with a product or with a supplier, they need it to be timely. With the old systems and the way that they used to do it, it was completely impossible. As one example that I can think of, it actually took our customer more than a month to get to the kind of reporting that they're able to do today in a couple minutes. And I think that's really remarkable because that means that the information's timely. And I think in one conversation we actually asked them, by the time you understand that this is an issue, can you go back and do something about it? And they said no. I mean, most of the time that problem's it's gone. We're worried about something else. And so, if you're looking at information that's so far in the past you can't do anything about it, then it's really not that helpful. And so that clarity and that timeliness is what we would call speed is really critical to them. And then I'd say the last aspect in these industries is, again, collaboration, where you want to work with your suppliers, and most of our customers, in fact, all of our customers really consider their suppliers as partners. They have very, very good relationships with them. And so that's one of the things that we see as a commonality, and our solution is helping them make their suppliers better partners. In the industries that we tend to find a very good product market fit, there's a really common process known as quality planning. And so quality planning is used to it's really just literally what it sounds like. You're actually planning what it is that you're going to do, but it's not after the product's already been designed. It starts all the way back at prototyping, where we've got this idea or concept that we want to bring to market. And so you're building in a lot of different quality processes, and I mean, think about like the customer's requirements, your customer's requirements, reliability, packaging. How are we going to get this thing to the customer without having it damaged? There's different variants of this. How do we manage those different nuances for each one of those? And sub-suppliers, so I'm going to send a purchase order to my supplier to deliver this. How are they going to manage their supplier? So it's a very complex and elaborate process that takes months, in some cases even years. You see it most often in aerospace and automotive, and where you've got a very big system complex like a car or an airplane, and so that's where it becomes really, really useful. And so with our customers, what we're able to deliver to them is a templated method of these different stages of the quality planning process, so that they can send out quality plans en masse for many parts at a time, whereas in the past they used spreadsheets basically a templated spreadsheets with dozens of tabs on these things, very complex with macros that would often break, which would get sent out to suppliers. one by one, very, very laborious and required a lot of manual effort to do that, because a person's going to go attach this. And so anyways, you can begin to see how difficult it is whenever you've got a very old antiquated method like a PDF or Word document or an Excel spreadsheet. And so that's where we're really able to deliver a lot of efficiency and clarity to our customers that use the quality planning process. So as these tasks and plans and assignments go out to suppliers, the suppliers get notified of each one of those individual tasks. They're able to attach and show their objective evidence that they've met those requirements, or how they're going to do this or that, or answer whatever the requirements are. And then as those come back in, of course, whoever's created that assignment gets alerted. It goes to the right team members, and so we can have a very elaborate review process to make sure that all of our customers' requirements get evaluated properly and very efficiently. And so one of the things that I think is really cool, it just kind of demonstrates how much better our way of doing this is than a lot of ad hoc tools. One of our customers is an automotive manufacturer. In the past, they've done new one car model at a time. And they would typically do that over the course of 5 or 6 years. Now, there's only a couple maybe 5 or 6 car manufacturers in the world that have that scale of manufacturing, so it's not difficult to figure out how it could be. But they're currently prototyping and developing 3 cars at the same time. And they physically weren't able to do that in the past without QMSC. And so what we've helped them do is multiply their internal resources with their suppliers to go develop these 3 cars all at the same time. And so one of the reasons that they're able to do that is that because that information comes back in, again, as real-time data, we're connected with their business intelligence system. And so they can create a glide path in their business intelligence throughout the different phases of the project, so that as different parts and components begin to get to a completed state, they understand what the status of the project is in real time. And so that's something that's really, really critical to them, is to see where each supplier is at with different components and understand the workload of the supplier, so that they can align that supplier with the right phase of the projects as they develop these different cars. And so that's just one great example that I can think of. We've got a couple of others like that, but the fact that they used to do 1 and now today they're able to do 3 at a time, I think that's just really remarkable. The funny thing about quality requirements in my career is that the vast majority of issues that relate to a product or a supplier start when a purchase order is sent to that supplier. The vast majority of time, the way that most of the suppliers and these big companies work, you've got like a purchase order. Like if you were to print it out, it's a stack of papers like that tall. And so the suppliers just don't look through it very clearly to understand what all of those unique requirements are. And so what we're trying to do with our supplier purchasing feature is we're not actually worried about the procurement to pay process. We're very concerned with the hard and soft deliverables of that particular purchase order line item. For instance, if you want it green on this line item and blue on this line item, this one has to have specific documentation from your supplier and maybe different documentation from the sub-supplier. We can get down into that level of granularity whenever it comes to these purchase orders. And so as the supplier completes these requirements, they can actually attach it to the supplier to that purchase order line item, so that whenever it comes into our customer, all they have to do is go to QMSC, click on that purchase order line item, and they see everything that they're looking for. And so that's something that is just, it's very, very difficult to achieve that in the marketplace right now, because you don't have a platform that integrates all of these other parts of your business data. And so that's where we're able to deliver a lot of efficiency and clarity, both to the supplier and to your internal quality team. incident management, and I think probably the better term to use here would be non-conformance, is more industry typical. But incident management is really just, we've got some kind of issue that was identified. And it could be, I wanted it 1 inch long, it was 1.01 or something like that. And so, we have a requirement and there's a variance from that requirement that exceeds whatever is allowable. And there's other kinds of things that could potentially be an incident, but we don't need to get into that. So whenever we've got this incident, the reason that it's not just a non-conformance reporting tool is that we get into all the tertiary processes that are involved with that non-conformance. There could be rework. You want the supplier to go back and resolve this issue. You need to communicate to the supplier that you want them to resolve this issue. And then there needs to be some kind of documentation and follow-up. We can handle that process. If it gets scrapped out, or maybe you return it to the supplier for replacement or repair, there needs to be a credit debit memo that goes out to that supplier. We can handle that process. And if you already have those kind of existing processes in place where our customers do, we can integrate with those existing business data systems, and either we can reflect what their system does today, or we can operate as, again, a standalone solution to do all of those things within QMSC. Now, again, we talked a little bit about trends and identifying these things. That's really the bucket and the funnel for collecting all that information is an incident, and that's what tells us where the problems exist. And so one of the advantages of QMSC is that as these incidents occur, we can go through a material review board. And so if you need to have engineering review and approval, or some sort of logistical tasks assigned to somebody, you can do all those sorts of things. And so additionally, maybe a supplier has identified something at their dock before it gets out of their facility, but they know you need it. So they may want to send you some kind of deviation request, for instance, and ask for a variance on the basis that they know you need it. They know, for all intents and purposes, form, fit, and function, it should work. They can submit that to you, and that can also trigger an incident report. So there's a lot of different ways that we can manage that, to the point that, again, we're getting into the corrective action process where we've identified, hey, this is an ongoing problem, and we want to make sure that doesn't happen again. So it's an entirely closed loop process. So that after quality planning has occurred, that supplier begins to deliver products, goods, and services. Over time, something's going to happen and that wasn't anticipated or expected, or didn't go the way that we wanted it to. And that's what our incident management feature is really there for. With the implementation, we tend to take a crawl, walk, run approach. There are several tools that we have found to be really effective in rolling out the application. And honestly, it depends on the size of the business. For a smaller business, we can do a lot of preparation work and do several training sessions. And when I say small, I mean like if you've got like 100 employees or something like that. Most of our customers are much larger than that, though. And so whenever we've got a large rollout that involves multiple departments, possibly hundreds or thousands of suppliers, there is a number of steps that you need to go through in order to get it right. You want to minimize any kind of downtime or negative impact. And so what we tend to do is that we'll get the configuration and the implementation 95% to where we think it needs to be, and then we'll roll out with a pilot with a very small core dedicated group, usually going to be the primary users, a manager, and maybe a couple of people to test. We might have a supplier that's engaged in that, someone that's very, very closely related and works really well with our customer. And they'll help us evaluate the tools and the workflows and the automation that we've configured into the account. Once we've been able to work through any kind of challenges or anything that we've identified as needing some refinement, then we'll begin to go group by group internally, go through training with primary users. So for instance, quality planning, there's going to be usually teams of quality engineers that need to get familiar with how to use the system. It honestly doesn't take that much training. We put an incredible amount of time into our user interface to make it very, very, very intuitive. And one of the reasons we've spent so much time on the user interface is that we find that internally and with our suppliers, you have let's just say a diverse range of user sophistication. Some are going to be not very sophisticated users, and then you have some that are very sophisticated users. And so we've made it very, very easy to use regardless of where people sit on that spectrum, so that they basically just get a task or some kind of assignment in their mailbox. They click on a link and the system takes them right to that. It's very, very simple and easy to use. Even if you log on from the logon screen, you're going to have a pretty clear idea of what you need to go do and how to achieve it. So with a couple training sessions on a group-to-group basis, we can get most people to within 90-95%. And then of course we're going to support ongoing training. We do have in-app help. So you can click on the help icon and you can report something or request help, and then we get on a call with our customers. With the suppliers, we have found that it is usually not actually necessary for us to engage with the suppliers. We provide a roadmap of how our customers can communicate and interact with the suppliers, and it usually doesn't take much work at all. Since our customers tend to have very close relationships with their suppliers, one SQE or a buyer may manage half a dozen or a dozen suppliers at the most. Usually a little bit of FaceTime is more than enough to get everyone onboarded. Where there is a much larger scale implementation and our customers need a lot of hand-holding, we work with consultants and we can bring on the right number of people to make sure that that kind of implementation is properly supported, because there may need to be some very specific training requirements or communication internally or to the suppliers. And we do have in-app videos and, like I said, a help desk to be able to help you find the information you're looking for, like on a topic basis or a video or something like that.